Okay, cool. So, first of all, let's just check out the dollar because I always like to kind of see when I'm doing analysis, what the dollar's doing. So, in the grand scheme of things, the dollar didn't actually do much. What day was it on Monday? Hang on. So, from the 16th, yeah, so you can see from Monday 16th here until now, the market has just been kind of, I mean, like we did have this big drop. Other than that, it's just kind of been consolidation. This was pretty much all the sessions. You can see we had Asian, which is go well, we had the Asian low 2 o'clock into four, and then going into, so this is Asian, this is London, and then this is New York. So you can see pretty much all the pre-sessions. We had that big kind of drop move, and then after that, price kind of came back up, and then we're kind of consolidating around. So what I'm really waiting to see is, because high time frame, we are now actually in this weekly zone, which I was talking about before. Now I want to see if we're actually going to trade in and around this area a little bit and kind of give it some potentially an accumulation, or are we actually just going to go back through it or just continue down? So far, the first zone that I got my eye on is going to be this first wick move. So why am I looking at this move? I'm looking at this move because from the end of this week now, we're going to have this imbalance from here to here. And I want to see if price is either going to come back up and trade back down lower, or if we're going to continue a little bit lower to then head back up. But so far, this is going to be an area which I'm going to look for potential shorts. So we're just going to have to kind of wait and see what's going to happen so far with the dollar. I mean, you can see for what one, two, basically this whole week we've kind of just consolidated around. It's not really been too nice to look at. But what I have done is, because this is technically our breaker structure, so this is our high, this is our lower low. I am just going to wait for one of these to actually be broken, and then that's going to give us a bit more of a bias and change in direction. We did have these highs here, which got ran. So we had a consolidation, manipulation, BOS, and now we were looking for that test and then go, which is kind of what we are doing at this current point. But we do have this 30-minute candle just on the low, and we are in major demand. So this could potentially mean that we could have some like nice reactions from this zone. I'm not saying that is going to happen, but more times on the high time frame zones, you do get at least some sort of a reaction. And if we did get that reaction, I wouldn't mind even seeing price potentially come back, trade up into this zone, or to potentially start sweeping out some of this. Even if we don't hit this mark, I do want to see if price can come in around here and then actually start heading back down. So really and truly for the dollar, I'm just going to wait to see if this high or this low is broken, because at the moment, it's like I said, it's just in a bit of no man's land at the moment. We're coming into high time frame demand. What we are doing though is we are slowly manipulating the lows. So even if we did get that one more run and then price started to head back up, that's when I'd look for that pullback and potentially continuation into some of these areas. But yeah, just gonna have to wait and see. Usually I like to do a lot more analysis on Monday, because I feel like sometimes when you do analysis on a Sunday, for instance, you'll be looking for a zone, and then the market could gap, and we could like end up down here, or we could kind of just end up here. It doesn't always happen, but it does happen sometimes. So for me personally, I always like to say that doing analysis on like a Monday around like 3 o'clock or like Monday evening is usually the better time to do it, because like not all the time, but because the market is obviously shut on Friday, Saturday, and then it opens up Sunday evening, and then you've got like that Monday, like 50% of the time is come potentially like slowish moves, kind of just coming off the back of the weekend. But equally, I have seen Mondays give some crazy, insane moves. So you just take it with a little bit of pinch of salt. But for the dollar, I'm just going to wait for this high of this low to be broken. So that kind of means anything against the dollar is probably going to look something like this. And we want to be waiting for either this low to be broken or this high to be broken. And I know pretty much AU and gold and things are kind of looking like this. So it's always really good to have just a bias going into the week. Because if you're looking at dollar to potentially have a strong week, so let's just say, for instance, if we had already broken this high and prices up here, we're consolidating a bit. This is then when I would be looking for some sort of zones like this, or potentially a zone in here to get a pullback and then continuations. And then that would mean most things against the dollar, you're going to have pretty much the same setup. So it's not everyone does it, and sometimes it can throw you off sometimes. I would say definitely if you're gonna looking at it, definitely just do the US dollar, because sometimes I look at the DXY and this is traded again. It is similar. You can see like we're kind of basically got like the same move, same areas we're looking for. But the DXY is correlated against 7 other pairs, and 50% of this being 53% of this being with Euro USD, which is not up on here at the moment. So if you're trading a lot of Euro USD, then it's good to trade the DXY. And like I said, like it is pretty much exactly the same, but taken with a pinch of salt that the DXY does actually trade against 7 other currency pairs, and actually just looking at the full dollar does kind of give you a bit more of an idea of what is kind of looking to happen. So do you understand that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, for a split second, I thought you wasn't in here, and I thought the caller died, and I was like, no way.
No, I've been coughing and sneezing, so I muted my mic.
Ah, no, that's cool. So gold. I said do you remember last week when we were looking for this zone to come in?
Yeah. I see you put that in the Discord as well, that trade.
Yeah. So we had a really nice 30-minute zone that had a mitigation. And again, this is nothing more than your consolidation, manipulation of the lows. We had that BOS, we had this test, and then we had that continuation. And we can even drop it down here. This line that's going across literally just took out that low before. So this is our consolidation. This is that final last move on that 30-minute was our manipulation. Then we had that BOS. Now we were just looking for that test to then actually go. And you can see price actually hit both of my orders. I did have a 20-minute. Yeah, I had a 20-minute order as well. And you can see that got hit really nice. We came up, we hit the first target. I was actually looking for shorts off of this move. I didn't though, just because it wasn't really something that did anything of significance, i.e. it didn't really like raid liquidity. We did kind of have a bit of a structure shift, but my intention and idea was I'm looking for still longs, and considering higher time frame we were bullish. I didn't want to be doing potentially I mean, it is fine to do intermediate trades, but this just didn't really look like that clean that I just wanted to take it. But we did come into that zone. You can see we had a nice reaction. Price had come all the way back down. We didn't actually test something, and this is sometimes I've noticed something on gold. Like you can see this would have been like the last zones that we were looking for, and price kind of came close, and it didn't really. And I did kind of flick through the time frames to see, didn't even come on a 2 hour. On a 3 hour, there wasn't anything even there really. And just sometimes that just does happen, you know. It could have been the simple case of fib. You could have done that personally. I maybe wouldn't have done that. And I didn't catch any more buys in this other than just the order that I had. I literally just put it at break even and then left it. And then luckily enough, you can see we came close to break even. We didn't though. And then we just started to continue. So I'm still looking for my long buys. So far, what we have seen though is we have now had this full breaker structure, because this is our low, this is our higher high. We do have this high low, but a high low isn't confirmed until the previous high high is broken. So now you can see this is our high, this is our low, and this is our high again. So if we put kind of the structure on this isn't the cleanest, to be fair. This is our structure. Yes, we do have this in here, but this is the main high that we were looking for, and this is the last point of supply. This is the last point of return, which price has come to. So last point of return is basically like the last point within this structural range that price could actually come down and test. So in, for instance, on euro pound, we had this whole kind of sell move that happened. And I've got an order up here because this is the last point that the market could actually come up and retrace into before actually heading back down. Because if it's going to break that, it's going to break structure, and then it's just going to be invalid. And then that's when you look for a pullback and continuations. So this is the same sort of thing. This is the last point in the market where price could have actually come into before actually changing some sort of structures. And usually you do see most of the time these zones are the ones that you want to be looking for, because these are the ones that actually really caused something of significance. I mean, like there's order blocks and supply and demand like all within the market, but a lot of people know, like, because supply and demand, like this is demand. It's, have you ever heard of the term order block before?
Yeah. Order blocks, just another word
Yeah,
for supply
so
and demand.
that's basically the say it's all the same thing. So
Yeah,
these are order blocks, supply and demand, but the real reason for, or the real name or the scientific name is just supply and demand, you know.
yeah.
And a lot of people know about this, but they still don't understand what zones to actually be looking for, because the supply and demand that's created on order blocks all within the market, but it's actually looking for that specific zone that really cause something of like significance that you really want to be like looking to trade back down into. And you can see this is our impulse, this is our correction, and then this is our impulse again. So again, so when we've had breaks of structure, when you can see like price slowly kind of heading back down, this is telling me that this is nothing more than just kind of a correction. Again, this is nothing more than just manipulating all the lows until you get that one final move, and then we have that pump. And then this pump is one that sweeps everyone out of here. Everyone that was selling in this position is now taken out because they're getting scared. And then they have the short move. Everyone's selling. They see this wick, they're selling. And then price just pumps back through. So a lot of people do get caught up in this, and this is something that I got caught up at the beginning. And this is just when you're trading off emotion, when you're looking for sells. And then it's almost like getting caught up in emotion and actually not really like identifying structure correctly. Because if you can identify structure correctly, that's going to be like pretty much one of the main things. I mean, yes, you've got like supply and demand and liquidations and stuff, but if you can't actually read the structure of a market, that's going to be a lot harder for you to actually be able to do. But how would you say you're finding structure at the moment? Are you do you reckon you have a pretty good understanding of like the main structure, and then like
Yeah,
intermediate
yeah.
all of you?
I'd say I can like I can identify like intermediate structure, all that, like you said
Okay,
it,
good.
like
I had a feeling, you could, but if like it does still sometimes like get me. And even if you think, if you're looking at a market and you're like, oh Tom, what would you say like the structure on this is? Like even sometimes now, like there's some markets that are kind of just like quite choppy to trade. I mean, like you can figure out, but sometimes if a market and the structure is kind of too hard to identify, then personally I don't even really bother. Like my friends will, like my friend trades a little bit, but he does more like on trading 212 and like looking at the currencies on there and stuff, and he doesn't do any sort of technical analysis. And like he'll say like, oh yeah, why don't you like trade like, so like some other
but you
like,
said he doesn't do any analysis, he just
nah, like he'll just like jump on a currency and then just like buy and hold and like sit on it. And like I always tell him like, boy, what are you doing? Like I'm literally the one person that can help you the most in like in this situation, and you're even asking me. And he's just like, yeah, but he's just more of like long-term holding it, because he's from Namibia.
okay.
So like he's got like the South African rand, which like he holds just for like long-term things. So, like he is slowly getting into it. Um, but yeah, I said to him like, bro, what like,
Gambling.
yeah, a little bit, bro. Yeah, like, but the thing is, when he's on trading 212, he doesn't even look at the chart like that. It's like this. And then he'll just go like buy here, because like yes, it is going up in the grand scheme of things, it probably is still going to go up, but he doesn't understand that like it price comes down to then actually go up and kind of thing. I mean he does, but like he doesn't, like, because I've like told him like stuff, and but he just like doesn't really doesn't really see it. So for instance, like Euro JPY, sorry,
So he
that
just doesn't set stop losses and profit targets and
nah, no
stuff.
stop losses, nothing. Like I mean, he was looking for a buy in like around here. And like he was like, oh yeah, it's doing quite well. This is on the day. He's like, oh yeah, it's doing like loads of profit and stuff. And then he was like, bro, I'm down fucking like loads of my account. And I was like, yeah, boy, because like you're just holding it. And then now I think I think to be honest with you, I think he actually got in about here because I remember when he caught this long move and I was like, oh yeah, that was quite good to be fair. And then because I remember when I saw him a couple of days ago when price was around here because we looked at the market together, he was just getting back into profit. So this was like the area that he like bought in on. And then I showed him like you can see again here, this is like quite nice basic structure. You've got a high, low, low, high, 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 low, high, 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 low, high, 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 low. Failed to create a higher high. Now we come down. Then we break structure. So now this is now our confirmed lower high because price has actually come down. We've invalidated demand, and now this is demand that we want to be looking to trade to continue lower. So I've said to him like, if you want to be doing anything, close. I mean, like I said to him, you can hedge your position. So place an order in here and hedge it because you're in buys. You might as well just hold the buys if it doesn't go through. And then if you are in a buy and then your sells start hitting and then price starts going down, then it's gonna kind of equalize out of it. I don't really hedge too much. I'll hedge in a position if I was to get into buys in here and I was holding and I was looking for high time frame sales, I would still hold my buy up into this because I know price can dig deep, like dig deep a bit, or it could even break, or it could just manipulate and then do something. So sometimes like when you're trading intermediate with the high time frame, it is all right to hedge against each other. But it's sometimes heading against each other can kind of complicate things.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just got to see what's right for you. But this is just a basic, super basic on the even on the daily time frame demands. This is the supply which invalidated this demand, and we had this breaker structure. And again, we have pretty much equal highs up here, which I'm waiting to be raided. And what I've noticed sometimes on the market, you'll get your main breaker structure, you'll kind of get this consolidation move, price will actually come back up. People think this is now breaker structure, and then it goes back down. So this is something that can catch a lot of people out. But again, as long as you can identify this is the major high that came down and created like this major low. Yes, we did actually start breaking structures, but it wasn't really kind of like a stronger break. I would have liked to have seen price even just test up into this. The fact that we've actually generated somewhat highs. If we had actually taken this high, and then price started heading back down, I would probably been looking for a bit more, something like that. But considering we didn't, that's when I could see price kind of coming back up and then heading back down low because we do have some lows and we do have some weekly demand, which I'm actually waiting for to see if price is going to come into. And again, you can even see on the weekly, we've got this weekly imbalance in here. So this is going to give me something more of conviction. But the reason why I don't really trade some other pairs is because look at that stop loss, 280 pips. I mean, like, yes, the target is over 1,000, which is great. But in the true grand scheme of things, this is just nothing more than a 1 to 6, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like it's not really that great. Yes, if I was maybe catching like a 25 to 30 pip stop loss, 30 is kind of like my max. I really go to be fair. But that risk reward is now a 1 to 40. So you could get in on the lower time frames and things like you could do that. But just for him and this trade setup, some people are like, oh yeah, like over 1,000 pips, like that's sweet, but your stop loss is equally over 150, like 200. So you just need to really focus just on the risk to reward, you know. And literally yesterday on gold, there was a move in here.
So wait, I'm trying to.
Yeah. So even this 5 minute zone on gold,
I'm trying to work it out because I've had a bit of a blonde moment. I can't remember. Fucking uh, no, go away.
Which I think is
I'm bossing in my room.
no, that's fine.
Wait. What one pip's a tenner, isn't it? If it's on the one lot size.
Yeah, one standard. So you've got
Yeah.
yeah, so you've got your
So then
you've
a
got,
0.1 is a
yeah, you've
one
got your
pound
one
50.
standard, and
No, £1.
that's £10 to one pip. Then you've got your mini lot, which is this, which is £1 to one pip or $1 to one pip. Then you've got your micro lot, which is like 10p for one pip.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. So it also
Yeah,
gives me
because I
1,000.
usually, depending on like what account do you trade with?
I've just been using the demo. I've not placed that many. Every trade, and the only two trades I placed are sent to you. But
Oh,
I've just
okay,
been
fair
doing it
enough.
on I've just been doing it on MetaTrader. I'll be
Yeah,
honest.
no,
I'm gonna
that's
do
cool.
that FTMO challenge again,
So did you do it then?
mate. I'll be
Or,
honest with you.
or not yet?
I think the first trade I got, and then the next two trades I didn't, and then I was just fucking caught up with a few things for a few days, and I kind of just like, oh, fucking, let me just try this again in two weeks.
No. That's cool. Well, to me, I mean, like, even it doesn't. You can still trade it. Do you know what I mean? Because like the challenge isn't really working up to anything. So even if you don't trade anything and you've only got like 3 days left, like you might as well just like use it. Do you know what I mean? Because even if it's not like working up to something, because you can still just track your progression on how you're going. So
Yeah,
that's what I like to do. Even like before when I was just doing like the practice ones, even if it was like even if I hadn't used it for a while and I was just trading like my real one, I would still use it just to like see. And like I still have a demo on account which I don't really use that much, but let's say for instance Euro JPY, I would place that trade on there just to see like what would happen with it, you know. And
mm,
I only trade on the demo on currency pairs that I don't actually um that I don't actually really trade. You know, most of the time if I'm doing like a trade just to kind of see or like a few orders, I literally just place everything on my reel, even if it's just like a smaller one. And then when I find like really, really sweet setups, that's when I just take it on just like the funded, you know. Um,
mm,
just because I think even though I feel like you're just utilizing like everything, and I feel like you're going to take losses either way, but I would rather take more losses on my real one and actually save like the proper juicy ones for my funding, because I think like if you're doing 5 trades, there's going to be maybe like two, like one, two, maybe even three if you've got good risk, like if your risk reward is like good, that will like take you out. But you could have that them second two, which are a 5 risk to reward above, and you've already made 8% just on those two trades. If you're risking like 1% or like 0.5%, you know. So my kind of philosophy is, I don't know if this really like works, but I've told like a couple people, and they're like, oh, that's quite a good idea. It's like I said, like most of the trades I take are on my reel. And then sometimes like you don't really see anything. And then like let's just say this trade, for instance, if I'm looking for this and it takes me out or whatever, then there might be a move up here, and because I took a loss on this, and now I can identify a break instruction, I'm waiting for something up here to be tested. That's when I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And now I took a loss on this on my real one. I've seen an even nicer setup, which I can just take on my fund and on my reel as well, you know. So that's what I try and do I try and take the losses on my real one, and then obviously the nice ones on my funded. But equally, like most all of the trades that I take, I like to think do play out. Equally, I do go into them thinking like it could not, and that's is why as long as you've got good risk to reward, and you've got a certain percent that you're risking each time, it shouldn't like it shouldn't bother you. Like now, because I know I'm never risking any more than 0.25 to 50% of not 50%, fucking hell, 0.5% risk, um 0.5% risk each time I trade. So I'm never worried or anything, because I can place like 6 orders, and even like God forbid like it doesn't happen, but even if all 6 orders hit their stop loss, the most I would even be losing is about 3% out of 6 trades if I'm risking 0.5% or lower, you know. So just
Yeah,
when you do it like that, just in terms of psychology, it's just a lot more like relaxing doing it that way, knowing how much you're risking. Because even at the beginning when I first started trading, I'd place a trade and then just have like just some random stop loss, and then because I didn't know how much I was exactly trading, I would be looking at it to see like, oh shit, like I'm down this much, and like trying to figure out how much I'm going to be down if I hit my stop loss. And sometimes it'd be way more than I thought. But now, obviously, because I understand risk to reward and things like that, I know as soon as this comes in, the most I'm going to be risking is anywhere from $25 to $50. And then if it doesn't, then fuck it, then you journal it. Why didn't it go well? Okay, that didn't go well because of this, and that. And you just do it that way, you know? So it's actually a lot easier doing it that way, knowing your actual risk to reward, than just always trying to figure out, you know. And I think I don't know, what computer have you got?
I've got a fucking big boy computer. I'll be honest. I've
Oh,
got it.
you've got like a an actual monitor and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
You
monitor
can
computer.
Calm. You can actually um get MetaTrader on your computer, and when you actually place an order or a trade, you can just drag it down and you can move your stop loss, and it tells you how much exactly is in your stop loss. So that's also another thing you can do. It's free to download, and then if you actually do
Yeah,
the
actually, do you know what? I am gonna download that.
yeah,
Have a look.
because if you download the FTMO trial, you can log into that account on that MetaTrader and then do it like that. And I think sometimes trading off your computer is way better than trading off your phone. Like everything's just on the computer, like you're actually in front of the computer doing it. And I feel like sometimes I want to delete MetaTrader off my phone just because sometimes I find myself looking at it too much than I need to. But I've got
Yeah,
Apple, and MetaTrader got taken off the App Store because it had something to do. There was like a lot of like Russian investors, or I think it was even like a Russian company or something like that. And because of this whole like Ukraine war thing, they took it off. So I haven't taken it off because I know I can't get it back again.
oh
But
shit.
I try and use my phone as little as possible, and actually just trade purely like on my computer.
Yeah, it's MetaTrader 4 that you use for the computer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna download that. Oh wait, but uh, when I say download MetaTrader 4, it says download MetaTrader 5. Oh
Uh,
no. I'm looking at the wrong one. Download
just
MetaTrader 4.
go.
Yeah, I've got it. I think open file. Yeah. I've got it.
You got it.
Yeah, it's just installing now.
Um, um, so yeah, I think doing that is way better. Personally for me. All right. So far, have you kind of understood what we've been speaking about in terms of like structure, a little bit more of kind of like risk reward and risk management and things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So AU AU, we had a nice move going in from last week. I was looking for buys of this zone. You can see we had a break structure, really nice demand zone.
Oh, fuck hell. Wait,
Yeah, there
sorry.
we go. No, let's go.
What is this? Sorry, it's just all fucking come up on my screen. Fucking, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
I'm
I did
hearing some random
notification.
noises.
Whenever I open mine, it does the same. I've even looked to see how to mute it, but you can, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've got everything. I think I need to just.
Yeah, so once you've got
I'd
your
sort it out later.
Yeah, as soon as you've got your credentials, you go into like file and then like log into account, and then you pick the broker, and then you just log in that way, and then it will just ping up at the bottom. It's if you need help, I can help you with this. It's fairly straightforward.
Oh, yeah, nice. Okay.
So AU again, we've been pretty bullish at this point, and you can see we've had higher, low. This is our now our higher high. So now waiting for price to come down and to create a high low, and then actually come back up and see if we can take out this high. What I'm looking for, I've been looking at this current point on the hourly. Oh, by the way, quickly, I'm looking for um just so you know, I'm looking for this daily zone to get tested, and I'm actually looking for this to actually get taken out and for price to actually trade deeper into this weekly zone. But you can see now at the moment we've on the weekly we've created this indecision candle that's kind of telling me that price could be kind of looking to roll maybe. But just going down to the hourly, it's actually quite a clean trade to be fair. We had this demand which got invalidated. We had our breaker structure. This is our confirmed high low. This is our higher high. Price came back down. Breaker structure. Now we're just looking for the zone which caused that move. Now you can see this is our 4-hourly in here. We do have this hourly zone, which is even higher. But the one thing that I'm going to be cautious of when I am actually looking for this is I'm going to be looking for the buys up, but I'm not going to be looking to see if we're going to react so far. Because yes, we have actually broken structures, but in here we had this structure in here. Price actually broke that, and then we actually just traded through it. So even though we do have this structure now, price could in fact just trade through it, or we could be looking at the structure in the sense of so high, low, higher, higher, low to actually then go up. And this could actually just be intermediate within the time being. But the moment on the hourly, we've already identified this breaker structure, and now price is actually starting to head back in and around. You can see this is our major. I hate using this term, but it kind of is that this is almost like our support and resistance zone. You can see prices actually held within here. What's our major psychological level? So the 69400 is kind of like our major zone. We could probably even push that to the 69500. That's more so our major half point. So now we've actually started to break above this. This is potentially giving me more of a conviction that price is going to want to look to push a little bit lower, a little bit higher. So shit. So this is that hourly demand that I was looking to trade off. We had a small, I think it was like a 30-minute. Yeah, we have a small 30-minute, 15-minute zone just in here. And you can see on the hourly, this got tested with this. And we had this generation of liquidity, price broke down, and we took out this low as well. So this was kind of a major supply point that I was looking for, because this is all within the same zone as this actual 15-minute. So now we've actually broken out of this zone. It's just going to be waiting for, again, the consolidation, manipulation, the breaker structure, the test, and then go. So you can see we had this small kind of bullish uptrend. Price actually took out these prior lows, and we did actually test something small in here. What did we test? Probably about 50% of this candle. Yeah, so you can see price.
If I was to look at that, I would have thought that that wick would have tested it.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you wouldn't have been wrong. You wouldn't have been wrong, but sometimes price can test a zone more than once, and I have noticed that sometimes price will, if sometimes like you get zones that are too clean, price just does like take it out slightly. But that still would have been fine, because even if you did get taken out, you still could have potentially got into there. I mean, like soon as even on just on the higher time frames on the 30-minute, even if you'd taken out that low, you would have identified that it didn't actually break, it just swept it. And then we did actually start sweeping and breaking above this. So again, you could have actually just taken it off this 30-minute zone to then actually take it a little bit higher. So there is always going to be zones to get in on. And even if there's nothing actually too clean, maybe this 15-minute, you could have definitely taken off that 15-minute. That's your breaker structure. That's your manipulation, looking to get in on that zone. Price comes back down, we test, and then we continue up higher. This is probably around the 50% zone. Yeah, so you can see 50% is here. Price has just wicked down into the 50. And then we actually started pushing higher. I missed all of these, but now we've actually really confirmed this 30-minute break. that's then when I can just be looking for a pullback into this zone, because you can see we have this imbalance from here to here. We do have some lows in here which could actually get raided. So now I'm looking for a pullback and then continuations. If we could take the high point, again, you can see that price is in and around the same 50% as this first candle move on the 15. So you can see here it's just above, and then price kind of wicks in. And again, here you can see this is the 50% just above this zone, and then price kind of just wicks below it, and then we come back high. So this is still a valid zone. This 30-minute, we've had a super clean break structure already. On the hourly, you can see where I'm looking for. This is the last hourly imbalance in here, which price has come into. And again, I don't really trade EMAs crosses this much, but we do have this EMA cross again, which is still quite nice to see. Let me give you an example of this. Probably not even gonna find an example now. Do you kind of know about like the rules with EMAs or not?
I know, yeah, like I know when like this happens here, when you see that, it's gonna go down.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, but so like if it's above the 50 EMA, which is the blue one, price is obviously a bullish, same with the 20 EMA. When we get that cross, more times than not, that's a shift in direction. And then prices under the 50 EMA. But usually what I like to see is situations like this. Price actually come down and test this EMA, and then actually like start heading up with it. So we had this cross here, and price actually was trading below. We invalidated and broken major points of liquidity and orders within the market, and now this EMA in 50 is actually crossing. So this 50 EMA is actually running below. This isn't really a strat. I used to trade this strategy a lot, and I can't lie, this it did actually do me some justice, to be fair. I'm trying to see.
So would you say that's like a strong indicator for when like trying to place an order?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm probably not even going to be able to. Okay, you can see after we cross here, price actually tests the EMA here. It happens. It does happen quite like more frequent than not. I'm literally gonna be no examples in here now. But I'm just take it from my word, from experience. I used to actually trade this quite a lot whenever I see break destruction and things like that, and EMAs in and around like the zones that I'm looking for. It is nice to see. So even just this is just a nice little confirmation for us to trade into, even if beginning of the week we kind of get this like correction move back up into here, and then we head back down. That could potentially be a possibility, or we could actually just run straight higher, because that did happen previously before. And this big wick was massive amount of orders, so you can actually see that prices at all of this is just kind of mitigations and price actually closing out of this order. So I would not even be surprised if going into this week, price actually just come back down and started heading higher. This I've got an order in here, so it's like a 20 pip stop loss, which is not bad. But that is definitely what I'm going to be looking for, and potentially take this higher. We could even take this for the first target, second target, and then potentially even take it higher into higher zones.